Okay, thank you so much to coming to my little impromptu class. I got I got an email that said basically, well, it's also a text message. I'm going to show it to you because if I can figure out how to do the screen sharing thing. Okay. Can you see this? Nope, you can't. Okay, now you can. All right. After years of wanting to thoroughly clean my house but lacking the time, this week I discovered that wasn't the reason. And that's what made me do this class. Because that wasn't the only time I've seen that. I've gotten so many calls. Hey, Robbie, I've gotten so many calls from people who said, you know, what's going on? Like, I know how to do this, or I really want to do this, but I can't make myself do it. What is happening? And I really thought about it, and I thought, you know, this is the perfect time for me to do what I can do, because I think time right now, everybody's trying to figure out, what can I do? What can we do? How can we do something? And so I decided that I would just do this little class and answer questions. I'm better at answering questions than I am at just making up stuff to talk about. So Jackie, I think I need you to mute. Okay. Then I am at just making up things to talk about. So I thought, this might be a great time to do that. And then if absolutely nobody has a question, all right, now I've got to figure out how to mute everybody.
It sounds like cricket.
Yes. Okay. If absolutely nobody has a question, then I'll just talk about organizing stuff. But I think that, we're a small enough group, we can be interactive. So when I got that, and a couple of other people called me and said that kind of thing, I don't know what to do, or I really want to do organizing now that I finally have some time, but my whole family's home and I can't maneuver that, or my whole family's home, so I have much more mess than normal. My kids won't throw things away, nobody's cleaning up but me, or how do I make myself get motivated, or I'm so scared or depressed, or I hate being stuck. Like, I'm getting all of that in email and phone calls. And so I thought, let's just talk about it. Let's just figure it out. Because I remember when I couldn't make myself get organized. We didn't have a worldwide pandemic, and we weren't shut in. I was just depressed and I couldn't make myself do anything. And it wasn't that I didn't know what to do. It was that I couldn't muster up the energy to make myself do what I knew I needed to do, and what I honestly, in my heart, wanted for my house and for my family, but I couldn't do it. And as I work with people who have the same basic frustrations that I had, I think, this is me. This is you are where I was when I couldn't do it. And so I just want to be a force for good on the planet right now, and I just want to help. So there's no ulterior motive. There's no class at the end with a discount. There's nothing, just Marsha trying to help out. So let me start by kind of saying, how can I help you? What is your question today? If I could tell you one thing that would make your journey easier, what could I tell you? And if you have a suggestion for me about things that I can do right now while we're all stuck at home all over the world, let me know what it is, and I'll try to see if I can do it. Because maybe you have a great idea of something that I would love to do that I just haven't thought of yet. Because I think we're all reeling from this. We're all trying to figure it out. So whoever wants to start, and we'll just kind of go around our little virtual room, and everybody can just, introduce yourself and say why you're here, what you want to learn, and what you want from me, and what's your question. if you want to do it that way. And then when we run out of questions, I have pages of things, of answers.
Will you
So-
give us handouts?
Okay. Whoever wants to go, just jump in. There's not that many people on here.
Hello, this is Paula. Yeah.
Uh-oh, maybe you should just kind of raise your hand somehow. I don't know. Okay, also, there's a chat feature, but I can't do chat and concentrate. So don't send me a chat. Just talk to me. Because if you send me a chat, there's a good likelihood I won't see it.
A
Okay.
lot of people have their microphones turned off, I think.
Yours isn't. Some
No.
people.
I
You
turned
can,
mine off when I stopped speaking.
yeah, you can mute and unmute. You can maybe be able to click unmute on your phone or on your device. And if not, *6 should unmute you. And if that doesn't unmute you, then send me a text and I'll try to figure it out. But I'm not good at technology, but I'll try. All right. So who has a question? Robbie.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, I've been home since the 15th. And I started taking things out, which I sent you a picture of. I started taking things apart to make room for something, but I'm not sure what the heck I'm making room for. And then I realized I just really need to redo everything since I've been in my apartment for, when you came and did it for me, Marsha, and you had your young lady come and do, when I moved back in and we set everything up. So I realized that I now have stuff that I'm putting in baskets on the floor. And I realize the more I sit around, I don't want that. But what's happened, I've been home since the 15th, and I'm trying to get the papers off my dining room table and my counter. And it's just like I look at it, I go over and I move 4 pieces of paper, and then I go back and then I sit down and I take a nap. And then I look at it again and I go move 3 more pieces of paper. Next thing I know, it's night. And then I fix a cocktail and I go to bed. I'm trying to figure out how to get my momentum to finish one project. I did take this and I finally can see the top of my desk. I haven't seen the top. Aletha knows, she's been here. You rarely see the top of my desk. So I cleaned out the drawers that are in the desk, but now I have this box of stuff that I need to actually stop and go through and either do one of 3 things: throw it away, file it, but now I need to redo the file cabinet. So it's like every time I turn a corner, I have another, I'm not gonna say an obstacle, another opportunity. I'm trying to watch my words. I have another opportunity to straighten something else out. So help me.
Okay. So there are a lot of things there. It's a lot to unpack. Okay, first of all, you have a lot of different areas that you're trying to work on all at the same time.
Correct.
Second of all, you're not creating an end point on anything. So papers, you move papers and then you realize you really need to recreate the filing cabinet. But if you undo everything out of the filing cabinet, you're going to create a bigger mess. So you don't want to pick up the piles and then create a bigger mess. So it's just like a long chain of never ending things to do. So what you have to do is you have to create endpoints. For example, what I do is I have people make piles, and you'll know this, those of you who've worked with me in person, and those of you who've been in the organizing mastery class, you'll know that this is what I do. I have you make piles. So your desk might look like a mountain right now, but you need to put it into piles. Or you have a room full of papers and your room looks like a mountain, box them up, because that way your goal is 1 box at a time or 1 pile at a time. If you don't have a lot of time, your goal may be 2 inches at a time. But you need an end point. So you can say, okay, I accomplished that. I'm done with that. Now, the next time I do an organizing session, I start. So the way you want to do papers, and everybody might want to write this down, but you all already have heard this, but I'll tell you, is you want to write it down, the word FAST, F-A-S-T. Going through papers, you want to divide it into, you're going to put it in either one of 4 stacks. You're either going to
Okay, tell me.
F-A-S-T, the word fast. Okay, F stands for file it away for future reference. A stands for action, act on it. You want to do something with it. You can't file it because you need to do something with it. You can't throw it away until you do something with it. So it requires some action. S stands for shred. You can't throw it away because it may have personal information on it that you are going to want to, you don't want anybody to get. And then T, simply throw it in the trash. Those are your 4 categories. So it makes it easier because you're subdividing it and you don't just have a stack of things of all different natures, you know, because if you start going through a stack, here's what happens with a stack of papers. Okay, right at the top, maybe something that's the most recent, but it may not be the most important. But about a third of the way or fourth of the way down, you're going to find something that is really important. But then as you keep going down, you're going to find something else that may be the same thing as a thing up at this part of the stack, but you made it again because you couldn't find it, so it's a duplicate. So you're going to find a lot of duplication. Well, if you divide it into its next destination or its next activity, what happens is now your desk can be cleaned off and you have 4 stacks, but you know where things are. And then to handle it, you go in reverse order. I like to use plastic shoe boxes for a lot of reasons. They don't look horrible. They're really cheap. When you're done with them, you can use them for something else. They just, yeah, that's it. Is that the shoebox size or that's a big one?
That's a shoebox.
Perfect. Okay, so you can label 1 F, 1 A, 1 S, and 1 T. Then at the end of your organizing session, whether you've gone through a pile or an entire desk or an inch, some papers need to be filed, they're in the F. Some papers need action, they're in A. Some papers need to be shredded, they're in S. Some papers need to go in the trash, they're in T. And then at the end of your organizing session, you just go in reverse order. You empty the T's because they're just trash. You make arrangements for shredding. When are you going to shred? While you watch TV? Are you going to, well, I used to say take it somewhere, but we're not doing that right now. So just decide when's your shredding time. And then that's when you handle the shred. Do it all at once. Then you're going to create action folders. Action folders are simply manila folders that have on there what the action is for each thing you want to do, that you say you want to do. The reason you want to make action folders is because now you've separated out the things you need to do. You can flip through the folders and then you do what you need to do and you eliminate duplication. And then F is for file. That happens completely last because you can always file. And filing requires you to, as you said, to go through and make room. Because sometimes you can't file. There's just no more room. Unless you want to start over making categories or do the paper tiger filing system, which I highly recommend. So that's how you do that. And so you decide, like if you have an hour, maybe you'll work on a stack. And then you can see progress as the stack goes down. If you have a room full of papers, it takes about an hour per box to go through boxes. So the reason I tell people to box up their papers is not because the papers should stay there forever, because they should not, is because then you're quantifying your work. If you have 25 boxes of papers, then you know you have about 25 hours worth of work to do. So every time you work on your organizing for an hour, you're going to see progress. You can flatten the boxes. Instead of 25 boxes, now you have 24 boxes. One day you'll have 18 boxes. And so it keeps going down, 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 so you can see your progress. Now, for those people who were in the fast filing class, the last time I did it, I think it was 2 years ago, who still have all the boxes, who never emptied the boxes, that is not what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to continue emptying the boxes even after the class was over. A lot of people didn't do that. But if you're one of the ones that didn't do that, then you can start now. Just empty the boxes, sort into F, A, S, or T. If you have a mountain of papers, you may need a box for each letter, or 2 or 5. And that's the way you want to handle it. So that way you can see your progress. Your other question was baskets on the floor. Baskets on the floor is never, ever a good idea. So if you have baskets on the floor, if you have surface space that's not floor space, counters or whatever, even if all you do is lift things off the floor and put them on a higher surface, that's better than leaving things on the floor. The floor is the largest visual surface in a room. And when things are on the floor, even if you're not looking directly at them, your peripheral vision sees them, and it makes you feel demoralized, and it makes you feel like you'll never get through this. So try to not put things on the floor. And momentum for your projects. Well, I'm not here to talk about my programs, but I just want to say that my programs do provide momentum and encouragement. So if that's what you need, people tell me they listen to the SOS recordings over and over and over and over again, or they clean while they're listening, because they're designed that way. They're designed to make you feel a little uplifted and not unhopeful. So if you're interested, we can talk about that at another time if you want to know about it. But and then, you know, I give everybody my phone number. I have given out my phone number for 25 years. Sandra and I used to do radio interviews, and I used to give my phone number out on the radio all over the country. And I said, just call me. I'll talk to you. I will help you. And those of you who know me personally know I don't mind. Give me a call. I want to be helpful. And right now, the whole country's bored. I have plenty of time to talk to you. And if I don't, I'll call you back. Okay, Robbie, did that answer your questions?
I think that was most helpful. I just have to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Because I've handled the same pieces of paper 20 times, I know. When I look at it, and you're so right about the duplication, I go through stuff and I said, I just had this. Well, yeah, I just had it and I printed it out again because I don't know where in the hell it is in the first place. So I just need to follow the program. And in the midst of, I'm filing papers for taxes. So it's like, I
Yeah.
need to do one or the other. That's what I need to do. I need to stop and just file the papers for taxes and put them in a folder, and then go back to the organizing of whatever I think I'm organizing.
Yeah. And for those of you who have tax papers mixed in with all the other papers, you could do FAST and then taxes. Because if you're using plastic shoe boxes or banker's boxes, you can always do one more for a special category if that's what you want to do. So it's okay. And you know, the tax thing is temporary. Eventually taxes will be filed and they go in a folder, in theory. And they go in a folder and you can put them away until next year we deal with this. So thank you for asking the question.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have a question for me? Because I'd like to start with questions and then we'll go from there.
I don't know if it's as much as a question or it's a problem. I'm not bad about throwing things out when I'm organizing, and I already got rid of a bunch of stuff and shredded a bunch of stuff and so on. My problem is I have rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. So when I work on something, I get exhausted very quickly. And sometimes it takes me a while to get back to it, like I'm talking days or weeks. So is there anything I can do about that? Plus, I live alone, but it's a big house. My kids moved out, my husband passed away, and it's just me. You know, but they left their stuff in the house. And will they come over and get rid of it? No. So, and now I kind of have to do it because I had a bunch of damage from a hurricane. I've been fighting with my insurance now for 3 years, but I have to have empty out rooms and stuff so they can work in there. So I'm kind of in a quandary.
Okay, so I'll start with kids' stuff. I used to say, when my kids were little, I used to say, give them their stuff, make them take their stuff. But it's easier to say in theory than to do in practice.
Yeah.
I have 3 sons. My oldest son took all his stuff when he got married. My youngest son took all his stuff when he moved to Tallahassee, Florida. My middle son was heartbroken. What do you mean I have to take my stuff? I don't have room. And he went through this long thing. So what I did was I found an area for everybody's stuff. I boxed it up. I put their names on the box and I gave them a deadline. And I said, if you don't take your stuff by whatever the deadline was, I'm going to take it to Goodwill. And I gave them a long lead time for deadline. I still have some of my middle son's files and miscellaneous things because he really did just move a year ago and he really doesn't have, he has room, but really, it's too hard to get it to him. Because some of the things are big. I'm not driving to Virginia and he can't fly home now and you can't fly it back. So some of it, logistically, I still have. But their stuff should be with them if it's in your way. Or you should dedicate a room to their stuff. How many kids are we talking about?
I have 3 daughters. They now will have their own houses. The youngest one is in near Atlanta, so it's 5-hour drive, and I don't drive that far anymore. And she did move a lot of stuff, but there's still a ton. She unloaded a storage locker into my back room. And then I did box everything up and put it in the garage, but she doesn't even want to go through it when she's here because she said I mixed up her stuff with others, which I don't think I did, but
I think you should give her a deadline and then you can mail it to her a little bit at a time. Now, another thing that you can do, this is what I did with my oldest son. My oldest son had 2 boxes of things from when he was in college. So what I would do is I'd lay him out on the sofa and I would take a picture and I'd say, okay, and he would look at it and make a decision about what he cared about and what he didn't. And the things he cared about, I boxed up until I could get them to him.
I was actually kind of thinking of that. That's a good idea. Yeah.
That way she can decide what she wants you to send to her, what she wants you to hold on to, and what she doesn't care about. Because some of that she may really not care about.
Right. Although she says she has no room for it, and her friend who knows me said that's true. She has no room in her house. It's very little.
Yeah, but that is not your problem at a point.
Right.
And you have to decide how long you want to be her storage closet. It's just a decision.
Yeah.
And ultimately clutter is postponed decisions.
Yeah.
So you make the decision of how long you want to do that. But first, let her go through things by you taking pictures and sending her 5 or 6 pictures a day, because there may be things she really doesn't want.
Yeah.
And if it's the case, then you don't have to store as much as you're storing currently. But that's kid. Your other question was about how do you go through rooms when you're not feeling well and you're slower than you think you normally would be maybe.
Right.
And you're going to get tireder. And that has to do with the same kind of thing I said to Robbie, which is you want to pick a destination. So you'll decide surface by surface by surface. The trick to organizing is surfaces. And I figured that out when I was going to people's homes, helping them get organized. See, they didn't really want me to organize them. What they wanted was for their house to look good today. So we would start with the exterior surfaces. And then every time I leave, it looked much, much better. Although it may not be organized, it looked good. When you look at a magazine, for example, all you see is cleared off surfaces.
Yeah.
That's what makes it look beautiful. You don't know what's underneath the cabinets. You assume that because the surfaces are cleared off, that the cabinets are cleared. But that may not be true. But when the surfaces are cleared off, it makes you feel wonderful. So if you
Marsha,
yes. So
I just have to add to this that one of the things that happened when I first moved back, I remodeled my place and moved back in probably 12 years ago by now, or 13 years ago. And Marsha had a young person come and do all the putting stuff, helping me organize to put the stuff where it's useful. For 10 years at least, anybody that came to see my house, I opened the closet doors.
that's right. That's right.
I door back so you could see all of the organization. So
Yeah.
now this is why I'm back, because it's getting a little junky. But when you can open and show people that it is really, they're going, my God, you're so organized. And
Yeah.
I just had to follow that system.
Yeah. Yeah. And the system is not complicated, but there are some things you have to do. So what you want to think about, Susan, is you want to think about keep a surface. So the secret to organizing is surface by surface by surface. So when you get ready to go and work in a room, don't just start picking things out. People say to me, I'm going to start by throwing away everything I don't need. That is a lifelong journey. It just won't work. What you want to do is the surface. So let me show you a picture. Let me show you this. Let me figure out how to do this again. Okay, screen. Okay. We did this just yesterday. I helped this lady in one room just yesterday. And you see how this looks on the picture on the left-hand side?
Yes.
And you see how it looks on the right-hand side? What she did was she cleared off this surface first and got rid of the ironing board. That's how we started. Then we got rid of all the stuff on the surfaces here. And you see the difference. The difference is staggering.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, when you go surface by surface. That's the key.
I didn't even know there was a desk over there.
I know.
Wow.
And all we did was go surface by surface by surface. And I told her what to do. I told her what to move. And like everybody who's in my program, she argued with me. But that's okay, because I understand that, because the reason people argue is because at first you think you want and need everything. But the more you move, the more you like the way it looks, and the more you realize, I don't need everything. I don't want everything. I want the room to still look beautiful. Okay, so you want to pick the first surface that you want to clear off and keep working until that surface is cleared off. And then the rule is you cannot put anything back on that surface. And then the next time when you feel bad and you want to do some more organizing, you go to the next surface. And then you clear off that surface. And the rule is you keep it cleared off. Now, human nature is we're going to keep doing what we do. You're not going to keep it cleared off. But with this ironing board, okay, I'll show you the next picture. Hold on. Okay, and the third picture, I don't know if you can see back here, but there's a whole bunch of stuff on the counter. Well, here, look at this one. You see all that stuff behind the chair?
Yep.
Okay. Once she agreed to move all the stuff, she didn't want to put it back. So the rule for her is don't put stuffed animals behind the chair anymore. And it's hard to do that because you're used to it. Here it is. This is the counter. You see all this stuff on the counter? I
Yeah.
said, well, why don't we move this stuff off the counter? Oh, no, I can't. I can't move anything off the counter. It needs to stay here. This is the bird food, and this is whatever this is, paints. So I said, well, maybe, at Dollar Tree, they have these cloth baskets that are $1. So maybe you could just put these things in the cloth baskets and it'll look better. Well, you see, she didn't even need to do that, because once she started looking at it, she could decide that maybe it would look good without the stuff. So the room looks so much better when the surfaces are clear. It's just amazing. It's almost magical. And so then once you get all your surfaces cleared off, then you feel amazing when you walk in the room. Now you have the energy to start going in under surfaces. So all your counters are cleared off. Your kitchen looks amazing. You can have company over now. You can walk in your living room. There's nothing on the floor. Everything looks good. So now when you want to organize, you can open up underneath the bathroom cabinet and clear that out, because you are not going to mess up the rest of the bathroom because you've already cleaned it off. You're not going to mess up your counters because you've already cleaned them off. You don't want to go back to where you were. And I like to believe that if you do it, you can do it again and you can keep it up. When I bring my team in and we do it, then, 6 hours, everything's gorgeous, but can you replicate it? Maybe not. But if you do it, you can replicate it because you know what you did. So did that help you, Susan?
Yes, I think so. Because I tend to have, like, for instance, I just did the office, which was piled high to the sky. You can walk in there now. There's surfaces. I still have to do like the filing cabinets and stuff, but it looks decent. I mean, I can't entertain in there, but I can certainly open the door.
Right.
But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, but I had like a bunch of greeting cards. I donated a bunch, and some I wanted to keep. So I did put that box back on the cleared off desktop to sort at another time. But now you're saying I shouldn't do that.
Right. Right.
So, okay. So I'll have to sit and watch TV and sort, I guess.
Yes. And TV is a great time to shred. Keep that in mind.
I nearly burnt out my shredder so many times. I just packed it all up and took it to a place. It was worth it to do
Well,
it.
that's if you can leave, but they're starting these shelter in place. So
This was right before they started all that. So,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, my husband had businesses. I had business papers and tax returns from the 90s.
Yeah. 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 In a little while, BC is going to mean something different. It's going to mean.
That's funny. You're right.
So those of you who have written something in the chat, I can't really do chat while I'm talking. I can't concentrate. So you're going to have to ask me out loud, or I'll have to answer it after everybody has a question. So who would like to ask me another question?
I'll ask.
Okay.
Okay, so supposedly I'm not a hoarder because I can move around the house. And I mentally want to make a change and do something, but physically you just sit and like, where do I get started?
Is this
And you
Alita?
think in your mind you can.
Who's talking?
No,
I
this
can't
is
tell.
your special friend. This is Sandra.
Sandra. Okay. I can't see you. Okay. All
You
right.
sure you can't see me? Unblock me. But where do I get started? Sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, I want to do, but I don't even know where to start.
Okay. That's a very good question. Thanks for asking it. You start by asking yourself either what bothers me the most or what would make me feel the best if it were done. That's where you start. And ultimately, it doesn't matter. I ask people where they want to start because I'll say something like, what would you like to accomplish with me today? And that's how I start the question. But it really doesn't matter where you start. So let's say you decide, I want to start in my entryway. That's a big one because you want to be able to open your door. Well, you used to want to be able to open your door when people could come over. Right now, nobody's probably coming. But in theory, let's say in theory, we're in the BC times and you can open your door again. You want your entryway to look neat. So let's say you start there because that would make you feel the best if it were done. But suppose you tell me, no, I want to start in my bedroom. Like one of the ladies in my program right now, she can't get from her bed to the bathroom in her room because there's so much stuff between the bed and the bathroom. So it's a safety hazard. So she wanted to start in her bedroom because that's what bothers her the most. So you just make a decision. See, ultimately, clutter is simply postponed decisions. So you make a decision, and then that's where you start. And if you make a decision and you really don't know where to start, pick up the phone and call me. Say, okay, I decided I want to start in my whatever room, kitchen, office, desk, playroom, garage, it doesn't matter. What do I do first? And then what I'm going to say is, you want to start by selecting a surface and clearing it off. What surface do you want to start with? And it's just that simple. And I know it sounds too simple, but really we can only do one thing at a time in the constraints of time and space that we have on this planet. So you pick one thing and you start there. The key
Marsha,
is,
did you say with one, start by clearing a surface?
Yeah, you want to clear one surface. That's what you want to do when you're starting with stuff. Now, if you're starting with papers, you want to start by making piles or boxing the papers up and doing one pile at a time or one box at a time. That would be the equivalent of one surface at a time. But if it's stuff, so the question that people ask me is, okay, I have all this stuff and I know where I want to put it, but the place where I want to put it is already filled up with more stuff. So what do I do? So the answer is, like, let's say you have candles and you want to put candles in the buffet, but the buffet is already filled up with other stuff. So the candles can't get in the buffet. Well, here's the answer. Just if the home for the candles is in the buffet, just because something else is in the buffet does not mean that's not the candle's home. It just means they can't go home right now because something's in their home. So that means you need to move the stuff that's under the buffet, box it up, and put the candles where they belong. Now, everywhere you go in your home, when you see a candle, your candles have a home under the buffet. And the stuff that was formerly under the buffet needs to be gone through, but it was in the wrong place. It needs to be moved. One of my organizing steps is always remove the wrong things. Well, how do you know what the wrong things are? Well, you start by making a plan. If everything were perfect, where would it be? If everything were perfect in your home, where would your candles live? Where would your books live? Where would your clothes live? Where would your shoes live? Where would your dishes live? Where do things belong? Make a plan. Because if you don't have a plan at all, then it doesn't matter where they are because they belong anywhere, like they may be right now. You know, when I go in offices and I see clothes all over the floor, well, clearly the clothes do not belong in the office. So where do they belong? Well, they belong in a closet. Which closet? Well, some belong in this closet. Okay, why aren't they there? Because the closet's full. Full of what? Full of stuff that I should have never put in the closet. Well, that stuff doesn't belong there because the things that belong there, put them in their home and remove the wrong things. And it's the same principle for everything. Like in the SOS program, one of the first lessons that I do is organizing a bookshelf. And what I like to say is, if you have books belong on a bookshelf, period. But let's say you have a bookshelf that will hold 74 books, but you have 80 books. Well, now you just have a 6-book problem. That's all. You just have to make a decision about 6 books. You move them, now you have room for all of your books. Let go of the ones that you no longer need. Or increase your bookshelf capacity with another bookshelf, or designate another shelf to put your overflow of books.
Can I mention one other thing, Marsha?
Absolutely.
Hi, it's Jennifer, you guys.
Hi, Jennifer.
One other thing you had mentioned that you teach that is helpful in a case like this too, like say the cabinet is full and you know that this stuff belongs in the cabinet. If you can't take everything out, you would suggest put it as close to that cabinet as you can.
That's right. Thank you for that, Jennifer. That's right. You
Well,
put it on or near the surface where it belongs, or the area where it belongs. That's right. Thank you. Okay. Who else has a question for me?
Hi, this is Andrea.
Hi, Andrea.
My problem is the closets. What do you do with a closet that's just a mess?
Okay, when you say it's a mess, what do you mean?
I mean that there is stuff piled on the floor, just haphazardly, and there are shelves with stuff stuffed in it, and it's just a mess.
Okay, that is a great question. Now I can see you, Andrea.
I know I'm playing.
That's a great question, Andrea. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, remember, we're always going to go surface by surface by surface. So you want to just make a decision. I like to start with a schematic. And a schematic is simple. What kinds of things go where? So in a closet, you have hanging space. So obviously, things that you want to hang up go on a hanging space. And that's not rocket science. You have floor space. What kinds of things belong on the floors? Now, for me, I like shoes on the floor. That makes sense to me. You'll have shelves above the closet, the rack. Well, to me, I like to put, some people like purses up there. And if you have room, that's fine. Some people like different things. But what I do with my closets is I have a big walk-in closet. On one side, I have old taxes because they have to go somewhere. And I have a box for each old year. And I have it in the closet on the right-hand side. I don't know if you're seeing it back, but on the one side. And on the other side, I have sewing stuff on one half and I have blankets on the other. What I did with purses is I got, those hanging things with you put shoes in. That's
Mhm.
where that's what I chose to put purses in. But those of you who know me know I rarely carry a purse, so it doesn't matter. So that's what I use for purses. Like if I'm going out on a date or something, unusual, then I might want to take a purse. And so I put the purses in there. So, but it's just a matter of making a decision of what kinds of things go where. And that's what your schematic does. If you have shelves in your closet, like cubbyhole types of shelves, make a decision. What kinds of things go there? I've seen people keep makeup there. I've seen people keep extra shoes there. I've seen people keep jewelry there. I've seen people keep papers there deliberately, like extra files and stuff. I've seen people hide money there, like whatever you want to put, but make a decision about if everything were perfect, how would my closet be laid out? What would go where before you move an item? And then I personally would start at the floor. Floor is the largest visual surface in a room, which means it's the largest visual surface in your closet. And just make a decision one item at a time. What is it? If it's a pair of shoes, well, they're going to stay on the floor eventually if you do what I would do. If it's a purse, well, maybe if you decide purses are going up on the top part of your closet, it would go there. If you decide to have a hanging thing for purses, it's going to go there. So you would know where, you would kind of know the destination of most of the items as you pick them up. But with 3-dimensional items, my technique is called yes, no, maybe. Yes, I want it and I know where it goes. That would be like the things I mentioned. No, I don't want it anymore. It is leaving. It's going to charity. It's going to the garbage. It's going to Aunt Susan. It's leaving. And then maybe. I'm not sure if I want it or not. I don't know how to decide. And once you divide everything into yes, no, or maybe, now 2/3 of it's gone. And then you open the maybe box and it's easier. I took a closet class one year that was so eye-opening. It was taught by a lady who's a minimalist. And the goal is to get down to 33 items in your closet, including shoes and accessories, scarves, and all that. I couldn't get to
Nah.
30. I couldn't get to 33. I got to 57. But here
I burst into laughter.
I learned so much when I did that. So here's her technique, which you absolutely can do. You go to each item and you say, this is the criteria. I love it so much. I want to wear it right now.
Oh my
If you don't love it that much, it has to come
God.
out of your active closet. And you can box it away, put it in a box or something for 3 months. You can't look at it, in theory. You can't look at it for 3 months. So let's say you do this now. What are we in March? That means you can't look at it until June. In June, you can open the boxes and see if you want some of that stuff or if you don't care about it anymore. So I went through the.
You put it in a box. You
Yeah.
love it. You want to wear it right now, but you put it in a box for 3 months.
No. If you love it so much that you wish you could wear it right now, it stays in your closet.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't like it, or it doesn't fit, or it doesn't make you look gorgeous, or you like it, it's okay, but you don't love it. You just have it because you have it. Or it was a gift and you rarely wear it and it's a maybe. You fold it up, you put it in the box. Then in 3 months, you open the box. You can open your boxes and you can take out the things you want. So when I started, I thought, I'm not going to like anything. I'm going to end up with a closet with nothing in it because I don't like my clothes and I don't like what I wear. And it's going to be, or everything. I don't want to have like 5 of one thing, but only 1 of something else. I mean, I just knew it was going to be an awful experience. But here's what I discovered. And I don't know what you'll discover when you do it, but I discovered this for me. Everything I really, really loved coordinated. It just happened that way. I could walk in my closet, and instead of walking in my closet in frustration, I could walk in my closet and breathe. It was airy. And everything coordinated. I could put this with this, or this would go with that, or this would go. Everything matched. Like everything I like is similar. I learned that about myself, and I did not know that. It was an amazing, marvelous exercise for me. I encourage it. And I think I'm going to do a class on that while we're all stranded. Why not? Or in quarantine or whatever you call this thing. I might do that. Let me write that down. Because it was just such an amazing exercise. Then somebody gained a lot of weight and donated like 30 shirts to me, which I took. So then my closet no longer had 57 things in it and it started getting packed up again. So I went through those things and I didn't keep all of them. And then another friend of mine's mother died and I got an entire closet worth of tops and shirts. See, it's like they showed up as a temptation. And I was a sucker for it. So guess what? Now my closet has things in it that I don't love anymore. Because that's what happens. We continue to acquire. It's like we have this fantasy that if I get rid of everything, it'll just be gone. No, if you get rid of everything, you're just making room for more things because things are going to keep coming. Have you ever had a time in your life, just as an adult in America, where you just didn't have what you needed? No. And if you do, it's at the store. We have access to everything. If it's not at the store, it's on Amazon. So we don't really have that problem. I have a client who's in North Dakota. They go to town once every other week. Right now, today in 2020, if she runs out of eggs, she has to go borrow them from a neighbor or drive 20 miles. But most of us don't live in that situation. And even she has more than she needs, or she never would have come in my program. Everybody in my program has more than they need. Did that answer your question, Andrea?
Yes. Very helpful.
Okay, please mute yourself. Whoever has a voice or friend or whatever. Thank you. Okay, who else would like to ask me a question?
I just want to go back a minute. You said that the things that you love and the
Yeah,
things that you put away for in a box and you look at it in 3 months, and then there's just stuff you just know you don't want.
right.
Is that
That's basically it. It's the same
okay?
yes, no, and maybe it's just called something different. I love it so much.
Uh-huh.
I love it so much. I wish I could wear it right now. Or I don't like it, it's leaving. And then there's that in between stuff that we don't know what to do with. So you box it up and then you look at it later. I mean, and my boxes were like, I had like 3 boxes of tops. I had 2 boxes of slacks. I had 4 boxes of shoes. I had all kinds of stuff, scarves, you name it. I need all that stuff.
Took one box of stuff and I said to my granddaughter. My granddaughter actually, my oldest granddaughter really likes my stuff. And of course, it was a size of another mindset. And I sent her those things. And then to about 3 weeks ago, my youngest, she's was 17, now she's 18. I invited her to bring her girlfriends over. And I have things that are normal clothes, tops, skirts, pants, and I let them go through. I hung out everything in the bathroom and let them go through and pick. And I told them, don't be offended if you don't like anything and you don't want to take anything, that's fine. They walked out with scarves and some tops, a pair
Nice.
of jeans, stuff like that. And the rest of the stuff I have to give to Goodwill. But now I need to go back through the closet and try this approach again because there's still too much stuff in there that I know I'm not wearing. But I keep thinking I'm going to be that size again. Well, the only problem with that is whatever that size was then, whatever they were wearing then is not going to be what they're wearing whenever I get to that size.
That's exactly right. I was serenaded in a dress when I was really tiny. Well, long time, the first time when I was tiny, when I was young. And I saved it because I was serenaded in the dress. I mean, it's the only time I've ever been serenaded. I thought, when I get back to this size, I'm going to wear that dress. And then
Right.
those of you who know me know I do all these diet things, and I got back to that size, and the shoulder pads came out like the Jetsons, And I said, I can't wear. I saved that dress for like 25 years, and I can't wear it. So you're right. That's what happens. All right. Who else has a question for me?
I do.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know if I'm online now. Am I? Okay, I have a question.
All right.
I live in a place where I don't have garbage pickup. Everything has to be saved and I don't drive anymore. And my children have to bring me my groceries, so I have a hard time. I can box things up and put them away, but I can't always get rid of them. I've started burning some things because that's the only way I can sometimes get rid of it. Sometimes I give stuff to my kids to take to their garbage cans, but I don't see them enough to get rid of the stuff I have very quickly. Any suggestions?
Yes. So let me ask you. So what
Yeah.
about real garbage, like food and real garbage? You can get that out, right?
The food that's wasted, or not eaten, that we actually throw that outside. and the animals eat it, which can be dangerous because they're coyotes, because you can't burn it. And the other kind of garbage, we just we burn the garbage. It can be burned. Cans and stuff like that, we just keep collecting it because we don't, and we used to be able to take it to our church once a week, but the church has changed that policy, and so we can't take it there. So
Where do
I
you
have to
live?
arrange getting. I live in Arizona. I live way out in the desert,
Oh,
and I used to live in Hawaii, which is totally different, and California, which are totally different things. But so I'm, sometimes I get overwhelmed with stuff. I try to keep. I can keep stuff sort of organized, sort of, but I just don't know how to get rid of the stuff I have. I've talked to my kids to take it away once, but I have a lot of, because we used to have a lot of kids here, and now they're not, and so I still have a lot of accumulated stuff, which I try to keep in certain places, so it's not like in my regular living space.
So your county doesn't have any kind of pickup for you for trash?
Yes, if I pay and have a trash thing come out to my house, I'd have to get a
How much?
container, have a container put on my land to do that.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know what that costs.
Yeah, I don't
Because
either.
yeah, well, you might want to find out and find
Okay.
out if it's worth it, because there has to be a way for you to get rid of things. But
Right.
now no one can really leave. I mean, in cities, people can't leave, and we're getting quarantined and locked in.
Right,
So,
right. I've kind of felt that way for a couple of years because I couldn't drive, although
right.
I'm fortunate enough to have family and friends that will take me to church or whatever, this and that. But
Do you have
I don't
like,
like to ask for too much extra stuff because, that's big stuff, having them get groceries and having them, do stuff.
well, maybe when they bring you groceries, they would take a carload of stuff to put in the trash, as you have it ready, things that you don't
Right.
want.
They can only probably take about one bag because the car is full with people. But that's true. I've been trying to do that.
Okay, so you just want to have an area where you start putting the things that you don't want, so that
Okay.
every time anybody comes to you, the things that you don't want that they can take could be already ready. And then
Oh,
every time somebody comes, have them take a bag. And
okay. That's really good. Oh, sorry.
I would recommend that you designate a room or an area for bags of things that are leaving. Things that are food, you don't want to do that with, because then you'll
No, no, no,
get
I can't.
rodents. We don't want that. But like things like clothes and things that like stuff that's non-food stuff.
Yeah.
I would say, how many bedrooms do you have available in your house?
Well, I have 3 bedrooms, but the thing is, there's mold in one of the rooms, and so it's kind of closed off. We just put some stuff in there, but we don't use it. What I do have is a second small trailer, and it actually was my laundry room. It has a washing machine in it, and I had both stuff that I throw away and stuff that I don't use all the time, so it's in there in plastic things. But what happened this last 6 months is we've gotten rats. We've never had rats in there before, and I'm just fighting. Every day I go in there, there's stuff all over the place because they've taken stuff out everywhere. So I'm struggling with all this stuff. And
Oh,
we try to kill the rats, and they're smart. They're smart enough.
okay, all right. So are any of your children who come and bring groceries, are any of them sons, or are they all daughters?
I have 3 sons, but the
Great.
ones that bring groceries usually is my daughter, but I do
Oh,
have 3 sons.
okay, great. Can somebody help you to build a shelf off the floor, maybe like a foot off the floor, so you can have a place to start stacking the things that you want people to take. See, you've got to designate a space to put the things that you want to leave. And it sounds like, I may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you don't have a place to put things that you want to leave. You have a room with mold, that you have things, and you have the trailer, the garage, or whatever you call that area where the washing machine is, where there are some things that you use infrequently. So
I do have, oh, sorry.
So you need
Go
to
ahead.
designate a space, and its sole area would be for things that are leaving. And
Right,
that,
and I do have that in that trailer, but it's
okay,
all like in the back of the trailer. But even if I put it up, because there's a thing that used to be like, if you open it up, it's a bed. If you close it up, it's a
yeah,
cupboard. Even they can get in there though, because when you said that, I think that's the best thing for me to do, is just to put it back up on the top like that, so I know even if stuff gets into it, at least I know that's going, you know.
right,
So
right.
maybe that's how I'll do that. That would feel a lot better than we've never had a rat problem like this, and it's like really upsetting me.
Right. Well, I cannot help you with the rat problem, and I
I
can't,
know.
and I can't help you with, there's a lot I cannot help you with this. Like, I can't help you with the, no trash pickup deal. I can't help.
Right. No, but I needed ideas of what to do, because
Right.
I've been trying to do certain things, and it's kind of getting to me right now, because I know summer's coming, and I know there's going to be a lot more creatures around, and when there's stuff around, it's not good, you know. So.
Right. If
I have an idea.
as you can burn stuff, that's a good idea. As you can put stuff in an area so that anytime anybody brings you food or anything, you
Right.
can give them a bag to take, then
Right.
it won't get overwhelming, and you'll always have a destination for those things. The other thing
Okay,
is, as you are organizing, you want to organize one room at a time, one area at a time, so that you can always see your progress. So you take
Okay.
one room, and then you move the things out that you want them to get rid of for you. The other
okay.
things where they belong, so that you're always clearing surfaces, and you're always clearing, you see. And if you have a question about that, you're welcome to, everybody on the call, you are welcome to call me if you have a specific question that you want me to answer for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for asking that. That was a challenging question, because
Yeah, thank you for answering it, because I've been working with this. I've been here for 10 years now.
okay,
And just this last year, this stuff went on where we can't take it out anymore, you know. So it's built up. So it drives me crazy, because in Hawaii, I used to help organize events that picked up garbage all over the island. So it's really frustrating to me to have it in my own yard, you know. So, or my own house and my own, tree or whatever. So thank you for answering my question, though. Thank you so much.
you're very, very welcome. And that whole coyote thing, oof, I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Part of life.
Lori, did I see you again?
Hello.
Hi.
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 I had some ideas about the rat. We have rats, and I'm trying to
Good.
figure out the answer for that too. But I want to recommend that you not use poison, because it kills any predators that might be around that eat
Yeah,
the
I'm not
dead
going to do
rat.
that. I realize that. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. And I heard about something that's called Radex, I think, that's salted corn, and it dehydrates them, which sounds awful. But when you're dehydrated, you kind of get sleepy, so it's maybe not so bad. But then predators, if they eat them, they don't get poisoned, and you can kill the rats that way. We have a neighbor.
What about a cat? I have a cat. I'm afraid my cat would.
Wait. Let's not belabor this, because this does not refer to most
Well, it
people.
was just
Thank
trying
you.
to help. That's all.
Yeah, Lori, thank you so much for the suggestion. I just don't want to get detailed.
Thank you.
But then the
I
other
wrote
thing,
that down.
the other idea I had for getting rid of the stuff away from her house is like Craigslist or Nextdoor. There might be someone who can come and take it away for you,
Oh,
you know,
next door. Okay. All right, great. Thank
Very
you.
Craigslist.
or
Also,
Craigslist.
sometimes there's charitable places that pick up too. Like there's one in my area. I don't know if it's world, like national, but it's called Purple Heart Veterans or, and they actually schedule times in different areas to pick up. So if you do put a
My
message,
problem is I'm too far out.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, that's okay because this might help other people too who need to know.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
And so my problem is that I understand your whole system and it's great, but every room is so full of stuff that I just need to go through it, keep going through it, make space on shelves to put things, figure out where everything should go. So it's a big, huge process that I need to just do a little at a time and make my way through, I guess.
Marsha,
Let me-
Marsha,
Yes.
this is Alita. It sounds like most of us are saddled with some of the same issues. Too much stuff, not being motivated to get it done. So when do you decide it's time to bring in a professional team to help motivate you? Not only to do the surface work, but like Robbie did 12 years ago. When do you make that decision? Because since many of us on this call are having the same problem, obviously we know it needs to get done, right? We're entertaining a lot of your suggestions, but when do you say, okay, I don't want to do this by myself? I need a team to come in and work with me, because when you're working with somebody, that kind of motivates you. It's like going to the gym, right? That motivates you to do it. It may be a little costly, but you get it done. You learn a few things from it. And because otherwise, we have this call 6 months from now, and many of us will be saying the same thing.
Yes. Okay. So I have two excellent questions that I'd like to answer. I want to answer Lori's question first, and then Alita, I'm going to answer your question because your question is awesome for me to answer. And Lori, your question is awesome for me to answer too, because they both lead into my programs actually. But let me answer the question first. So, okay, Lori, you said like everything is everywhere and everything's a disaster. Like, how do you know how to start? And maybe you just start by a little bit at a time. And I'm going to suggest that that's correct. However, the little bit at a time needs to be focused and directed. Here's what I mean. You want to make a decision about where things belong. And you do that by drawing a simple schematic. You start the schematic by drawing your house. It's a rectangle that represents your house and every room in it. And then you decide what kinds of things belong in each room, or what is the function of each room. So you might say, so in Florida, we have a room called a Florida room. And I would say, well, in my Florida room, that's where I do entertainment. I have music there. I have my jigsaw puzzles there. When my boyfriend comes over, we watch movies there. That's my Florida room, and that's how I use it, which means all my CDs and DVDs, my puzzle stuff, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff belongs in the Florida room. That's where I have my bookshelf for all my recipes. So that's the function of that room. The function of bedroom number one is, and I list it down. And so you want to start by making a decision. Because if you start with every little item, this could be a lifelong journey. I was hired by a guy one year to help him with his garage. And when I got there, when me and my sister got there, he said, okay, so the way I want to start is I want to start with the screws. Now, these kind of screws go in these containers. And I said, no, you hired me to help you get the garage done. We cannot start with screws. If we start with screws, we will absolutely never finish. They're too small. We need to start with a plan. And then we start by moving things into the correct areas. And then we start by removing the wrong things. We start with a plan. So I'm going to suggest to you that you, when we get off the call, that you look at the 2 programs that I have. Because the 2
I have
programs.
it.
You do?
I have
Okay.
this sorted out.
The SOS
So
program.
I'm working on it.
Okay. Okay. So you know that's how it starts. It starts by making
Yeah.
an overall plan, and then you do it that way. If you do it that way, then every time you pick up anything, it has a destination. Either it's a yes, I want it and I know where it goes. It's a no, I don't want it, it's going in the trash. Or it's a maybe, it's going to be boxed up for you to look at again. If you go through an entire room, when you go to the maybes, you can make better decisions. They kind of ride in your subconscious. I don't know why, they do. And so then after you do a room, you go through and you do yes, no, maybe again with the things in the boxes. Now you have fewer boxes. When you get down to, I can't make any more decisions about that, I've made all the decisions I know and I still have a box and a half of maybes. Now you have a cleaned up room with 1 box and a half of maybes, and you can move to the next room. And that's how you do it. 1 room at a time, 1 surface at a time, 1 area of a surface at a time, 1 item at a time. And that's why in the program, I talk about going from big to small. It's from making the big decision to which would be your house, where does everything go, to the smaller decision, which is every room, where does everything go in the room, to the smaller decision, where does each thing belong within the furniture in the room, to the smaller decision of where does these few things go? Do I actually want and need them? When you start, you're going to want everything because you're used to it. But as you clear off a surface, you're going to want less and less and less. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consistency. You're 15 minutes a day. I need to really do it.
You need to really do it. And that doesn't mean you only work for 15 minutes. 15 minutes, the purpose for 15 minutes is to break the ice and make you start. The hardest part of it is to actually start.
That's right.
Once you actually start, if you feel that you can continue as long as you can. And if you feel like, oh, I finally made it to 15 minutes, I hate this, stop and then do another 15 minutes later or another day. But the purpose for it is to get you to do something rather than nothing. And if you're really stuck, I believe my phone number is on every page of every handout in that program. So there's no reason not to call me because my number is there for a reason. I've invited everybody on this call. If you're stuck, call me. I don't mind because I want to help. That's why I'm doing this call today. I want to help people. And if I can help you and I have the time, why wouldn't I? I want to. Okay? So you don't have to feel like that. And Aletha, did I answer your question?
Thank you.
And Aletha, thank you
Yes.
for that question, because that question is what I always wanted to know the answer to when I was running all over town going out organizing. And then I moved my classes to online, and that question is still a mind boggler. But here is the answer, because it took me like 25 years to figure out the answer. And the answer is an individual one. It really depends on when are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? At what point do you really want to make a change? Like, I wanted to lose weight for 35 years until I finally changed my diet, right? But at what point was I really ready? I was ready the day I couldn't take it anymore. Getting organized is not an emergency until the day you decide it's an emergency. People who have enormous budgets make that decision faster. I mean, there are actors who've hired some of my colleagues, professional organizers around the country. They've had certain actors as their clients for years. So for some of them, that's their full-time client because they have plenty of money. They don't want to be bothered. So they just hire somebody to come in, organize all their stuff. Every time they come back from being on a set somewhere, they come in, they throw their stuff on the floor, and she comes in and puts everything away because they have a big budget. Some people don't have a big budget, so they try to do it themselves, or some people have an in-between budget. So they take a class like my class, it's not expensive. And some people have a bigger budget, so they take my class that's more expensive than the one that's not expensive. And some people have an enormous budget, they hire a team. It's really up to when are you ready? Which is the other reason that I invite people to just give me a call, because I will really help people on the phone. But when they call me, I also invite them to come and visit into my organizing mastery class. And sometimes that helps them make the decision that I'm ready now and I'm ready to do it because this will work for me. Or they can say, I'm not ready to do it. It won't work for me. Or I want to do it for 1 month. I can only afford 1 month. And that's fine too. So it's really a matter of when have you absolutely had enough? Keeping in mind that if you hire a team and they come in and they make everything nice, and at the end of a day or two, your house is perfect. If you don't change the habits that created the problem in the first place, you will recreate the problem. Here's what I mean. If you go shopping every time you get frustrated and you come home and you have bags and bags that you don't have time to go through, and you keep doing that because you're frustrated, eventually you're going to recreate having too much really good stuff that you never used. If you allow your friends and neighbors to give you stuff that you never go through, but you just acquire it because somebody offered it to you, and you keep up that habit, it doesn't matter how much money you spend or how long it takes for you to get your house cleaned up. If you keep acquiring things like that, if you don't change that habit, you're going to recreate the problem. I have a client right on Miami Beach. You all know where Miami Beach is. She is a really nice lady and people love her, and they keep giving her gifts. And she had 2 bedrooms full of gifts. She wouldn't throw them away because she said, no, because, they gave me these things. But she didn't have room for them. I mean, she needed to buy the condo next door just to display all of her gifts. That's ridiculous. So she wouldn't give them away. She wouldn't throw them away. She just had to save them all. So we created a closet of gifts. But I didn't think that was the best idea for her. And once we stopped working with her, because I stopped going to clients out in person physically, or I stopped going for a human affordable price. So then after that, she continues to acquire gifts. They're lovely things. So I said to her, you need to tell people to only give you gifts that are consumable, like, things you can eat or things you can eat at a party. So have a party and give away all your food. Because at a point, you can only keep so many things. But that is a personal decision. And you have to be committed to maintaining it once you have somebody come in and do it. Because you can spend a lot of money having somebody come to your house and cleaning it up for you. But then, and organizing it and helping you decide what to keep and what to throw away and all that, that could be extremely expensive. Or you can do it yourself. It may take a little longer. Once you've done it and gone through the painful process, and believe me, it's not entirely painless because you have to make decisions and you have to tear yourself away from things that you think you want. Because I'm going to ask you, how many of these do you need? If you have 3 irons, I'm going to ask you, how many irons do you need? If you have 6 staplers, I'm going to say, how many staplers do you need? If you have stuff in boxes, I'm going to say, what is that? Why is it there? Why do you have an ironing board in your dining room? I mean, just a logical question to me, but I'm going to ask. And then you're going to have to answer it. And sometimes it's not easy. Somebody came in Organizing Mastery. I invite everybody to come one time for free. So those of you who would like to try it, let me know and I'll schedule you and you can come one time for free. And she came to my class and I told her what to do. And we had this table she decided she wanted to clean off. And I told her everything to do and how to think about it and where to put things, blah, blah, blah. And then she went off to do it while I worked with the other people. When she came back to class, I said, well, let's see a picture of the table. She said, oh, I decided not to do that. I decided to work on something else. And I said, why are you in my class? If you're in my class, it's because you want me to help you to get the things organized that you told me you want to organize. If you come to my class and you don't do anything I suggest, why are you there? You don't need me. So she signed up for the class and then she started doing what I said. And now she's thrilled. Some of her before and after pictures you can see in my before and after link in my website. And when I did that, I was really scared. I thought, she's going to hate me. You know, everybody's going to think I'm such a mean person. But it was an honest question. So if you come in my program or if you call me, I'm going to challenge you. Because if you don't change something that you're doing, guess what? It's going to stay the same. Okay, did that answer your question?
Can I say something?
Please.
I don't know if I'm interrupting. I love this is Nancy. I'm Nancy. I love what you told me about having one place for everything, because it just totally changed my thought about. I'm looking at my dresser, going, I want to do this, and that, and put it in a box and put it away. And it just really helped me to see that I can put everything in that one place, and everything can come out of that one place that goes away. So thank you.
Oh, thank you too. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have a question for me?
I have a quick question. My question is, and what about family heirlooms that you feel guilty getting rid of, like something that perhaps a grandmother sewed for you, and you're past, and you're kind of, you feel guilty getting rid of it, but you don't necessarily use it. What would you do with something like that?
Okay, thank you for asking that question, because I'm sure you're not alone with that. Every single thing that you have in your home belongs somewhere in your home. It needs to have a home within your home. If you have something that's just a random item that's just sitting somewhere because you don't know what to do with it, then make a decision. Remember, clutter is simply postponed decisions or decisions that you haven't made. So make a decision about where you want it to live or where you want things like it to live. Like you could say, okay, all the heirlooms that I feel too guilty to throw away belong in the cabinet, in the basement, on the top shelf in a box. And that's where they all belong. Now they have a home. You can say, all the heirlooms that I have, I'm going to display in the dining room on the shelf. Okay, now they have a home. It's just a matter of making a decision about what you want. One year, somebody came into the Organizing Mastery program because she had inherited furniture. Her mother and father had died in the course of a year and a half. And she inherited all their furniture and she didn't know what to do. So she literally could not walk around in her house. She had 3 sofas, 3 lounge chairs, 3 of those tables. I mean, it was terrible and she couldn't decide. So I suggested to her that her parents would not feel good knowing that their items were making her life miserable. They enjoyed them when they had them. That's why they had the ones they had. And that she should look at the 3 sofas and decide which one she loved the most and let the other 2 go. Decide which end tables she loved the most and let the other 4 go. Because in one small living room, you can only fit so much furniture. You know, had a client one time, he and his wife would go scavenging in the neighborhood, like the neighbors would put things out that they didn't want. Anybody could come and get. They had 2 dining room tables in the dining room. I suggested that they only should have 1. And they argued with me because they said the second dining room table was free. People always argue with me. I'm used to it. It's okay. That's because they're used to it. But still, I still think you only need 1 dining room table in 1 dining room. It doesn't make what I think.
Happens to work that way.
Well, yeah. I mean, and of course, you know, it depends. I mean, whatever. But anyway, so I usually try to not say my personal opinion unless people ask me, what do you think I should do? And in that case, I give them my personal opinion. But other than that, the bottom line is you have to make a decision about where you want these items to live. And then you label it and you put them there, and then that's their home, so that everything in your home has a home. Does that help?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any more questions? Okay, so I have a question for all of you. And my question is, and you don't have to answer it out loud, you can send me an email or whatever. And my question is, what can I do during this time of, you know, the world being shut in and people don't know what to do or can't get organized and all that? What can I do to help? I'm just one person, and I know how to help people organize stuff and make their homes look beautiful. I'm good at that. I know how to help people get their files put away so they can find what they need when they need it. I'm good at that. Those are 2 things that I can do. But I can do it a lot of different ways. Like I do have the free daily 5-minute organizing challenge. I hope you are all getting that. I do have the SOS program that's on my website if you're interested in knowing about it. I do have the Organizing Mastery program that's on my website. And I am going to do the filing program again. I've already decided to do that. It just has to be set up right. And I'm going to go ahead and do the closet class, because today when I talked about it, I thought about it again. So eventually I'll do that one. But other than that kind of stuff, if you have an idea for me, please share it with me, because I really do want to help people now that if what I know can help.
Marsha, I have one thing that was on my mind. It actually was part of my question I had in mind. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and that is something that you sort of offer as a side thing, but to me it's really important, and that is, well, I think you have like a flipper thing, but where I'm coming from is that I never really learned how to keep a house, you know. So like my cleaning is very random, and I don't have a lot of energy for it because of physical issues. So my organizing, when I stay on that track, it could, like you said, take a lifetime, and I can't wait until it's done to clean my house. And I'm starting to get some habits, like, you know, making my bed every day, keeping the dishes clean, putting my laundry away. My counters are wiped off every day. My dishes are done, whether it's morning, night, or whatever, but once a day they're clean. Okay, so certain things are done, but my house needs cleaning, and it just seems like it never seems like I know the time to do it, or like that it occurs to me to do it. So like I might say, okay, I need to wash wall, and I'll wipe myself out, you know, trying to clean part of a room. I need to learn how to, you know, have a process to keep my home, to start maintaining my home. And I think you have something like that that you don't usually highlight, like that flipper thing, or get some habits in place.
Thank you for that question, Jennifer, and for the suggestion. You know, it's funny. My daughter-in-law, my second daughter-in-law, my youngest son's wife, said to me that she wished that I would create what she calls housewife classes, because she said the same thing. She said, I never learned how to do this stuff. And how do you learn? And so I thought about something like that. And the flipper actually is a product that Sandra Felton has that I just sell for her because Sandra wants to be retired. I keep telling her she's too young to retire, but she's not listening. So I send that out for her. That is a very good idea. I don't know if you remember a long time ago, or maybe still, but there's a nursery rhyme, kind of a song that goes something like, this is the way we wash our clothes, we wash our clothes, we wash our clothes. Remember that? And then it says early Sunday morning, and then she says what they do on Monday and what they do on Tuesday, and all like that. And that's kind of what I think about when I think about how do you do it? How do you do the organizing and the cleaning and the maintaining of your home? Organizing and cleaning is different. They fall kind of in the same space, but they're different because cleaning has to be done every day. Like you mentioned, you have to wash your dishes every day. You need to clean your bathtub on a somewhat regular basis, things like that. Garbage goes out whenever your garbage man comes and things. So that is a very good point, and I appreciate you bringing it up. And I will brainstorm with you privately for you to tell me about how you see that, and maybe I'll create something that would help people. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Marsha, this is Linda, and I'm really grateful for your classes, and I came to an aha moment a while back when I did your mastery classes and trying to do like what the last lady was saying of, I'm focusing on keeping one room clean or one area and coming up with some kind of a system. But I do like the idea of if you can create something, because I too did not learn how to clean a house, and my mother has this, white carpeting on her floors because she knows how to do that. But I just wanted to make some comment. A couple people ago were saying about the emotional attachment and their family heirlooms or items that, having either trouble getting rid of, or what do you do with them. And a couple of weeks ago, I had a sort of an aha reckoning, and I was looking at some items for my grandmother that I don't want. I'm keeping them, I realized, because of an emotional attachment. And what I realized, I didn't know what to do with them. So I finally started crying and realizing that I was keeping them because I was afraid I was going to forget my grandmother.
Wow.
I don't want to do that. And those items were reminding me of her.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking a picture of the items. One of them was a dress. And I talked to her, I was like talking to my grandma. I'm sorry. And I was telling her all my feelings. And I realized, I know from one of your classes, those items are not my grandma, but I really wanted to remember her. And I thought keeping that stuff would keep that memory alive. So taking the pictures and then saying goodbye to the items, but not goodbye to my grandma. So that was real important for me to help me get rid of some of the stuff that's in my house that I am not going to wear, don't want it, or for whatever reason, it was still hanging around. So I was able to, eventually a couple days later, box them up and send them off. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Wow, and that was so beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that, Nancy. Linda, sorry, I'm gonna call you the wrong name. Thank you for sharing that, Linda. That is really poignant, and it made me remember that really our lack of organizing is really not about the stuff. Organizing is never about the stuff. It's about us. It's about how we feel. It's about the emotions that are in the things. Because for us, the items carry emotion. Sandra Felton wrote a really good book about it. One of her books, The Mess. Oh goodness, I don't know which one. I'll find it out. And if you're interested, send me an email and I'll tell you. But she wrote a really good book that explains the emotions that we attach to things. And we see this dish more than just a dish. And she's the one who suggests, saying goodbye to things. And I have personally found that helps because I'm the same way. If I have 3 glasses and I'm going to let 2 of them go, I feel like, is that fair to a glass? And it's just a glass, but is it? And we attach emotions to things. And sometimes that's why we can't let things go. So thank you for reminding me, and that was very well put.
Marsha, I have on the floor, I have all these plaques and awards and stuff over the years. And my cousin, I was trying to figure out what the hell to do with the things because I have nowhere for them. And then my office is full of now I have 2 shelves of more plaques and trophies. So my cousin suggested take a picture of the damn thing and file it away and throw that stuff out. So I am really throwing the stuff out. I am gonna, not the ones in my office, but a lot of the stuff that goes way, way back. I just have to learn how to create a folder and put maybe my awards and recognitions and take the pictures and put it in there. And then if I decide I want to go back and look at it, I'll just have to look at a picture. Because aside from my degrees are on the floor too, because I don't have any room for them on the wall.
Yeah. And
I want to put those somewhere. I don't want to chuck them.
Right. No, you don't want to chuck those. But it goes back to making a decision. We live in a finite space. And depending on where you live and how big your home is, that determines how much you can keep.
Well, when you're in a bedroom condo, it's definitely, you cannot keep all this stuff and you have no garage to hide it in. That's right.
I had a client in Seattle who was in a 510 square foot condo. That's all he had, 510 square feet.
Micro unit.
Yeah. So he clearly could keep much less than my other client who had a 3,500 square foot ranch out in the Midwest somewhere. See, it's about space. How many books can you keep? How much bookshelf capacity do you have? How many pairs of shoes can you keep? How much closet space do you have? The answer is not a number. The answer is in the amount of space that you have.
Yeah, Marsha, I have a quick question on the trophies. You could go and donate those to your local trophy place and they can recycle the parts in the past too. So we've done that in the past. But Marsha, I did have a quick question on like a daily or weekly routine, just something for upkeep purposes.
So you want me to suggest one?
Do you just have any suggestions?
Okay. There is a website called FlyLady, FLYLADY.net, I believe. And when she started, she would send out an email every day that told you what you should do every day. And it started to grow so fast that it got so big that she has thousands and thousands of people on there. And then it got so complicated. So, but she has a section called Fly Babies. And that's for the people who are new, who want to know just, what do I do every day? And so I'm going to suggest that you go to flylady.net. I don't think it's .com, but you look up Fly Lady, you'll find her. She was originally called Fly Lady because she loves fly fishing. And somebody renamed it as the acronym, meaning finally loving yourself. And I would really recommend you start there. In addition, there's another resource. There is a book called Sidetracked Home Executives. Sidetracked Home Executives, and the authors are Pam and Peggy something. And you could probably find that on Amazon for $1 or at your library for free. And they also suggest a daily routine, daily, weekly, monthly, seasonally, so you can organize how you want to do your routine. Because
Okay, I certainly appreciate that.
yeah, and I'm glad you asked. Give me the opportunity to share it because I wouldn't have thought about it. I think that for creating a routine, there are a lot of factors to consider. So for me, all of my kids are grown and they've all moved out, and I live all by myself. I live all by myself. So I don't have to really follow the routine like I used to. Plus, I have thrown away so many things now over the years working with other people. You know, like every time I work with somebody, I come home or I come back to my stuff and I throw more stuff away. Because every time, like the year I threw away all the plastic in my kitchen. Because I worked with somebody who had so many plastic cups, it was creepy. And plastic cups are bad for you. So I threw them all away. But that was because I worked with her. And when I had the certification program, which every now and then I relaunch it, what I would explain is, now I forgot where I was going with that. Okay, let me just go back to, yeah, that you know, if we teach what we most need to learn, and if you need to learn, the absolute best way to learn how to do something is to help somebody else do that. And you will see yourself in it if you need to learn it. So I would see myself in too many shoes. I saw myself in too many plastic cups. I saw myself in a random box on the floor that I stepped over. I saw myself in papers, too many papers piled up. And so I taught what I most needed to learn, which forced me to go learn how to do it and do some research. So the answers are here, thousands of organizers now. Some of them I've trained, I'm proud to say.
Marsha, what was the name of Pam and Peggy's book?
Sidetracked Home Executives.
Can I interject here?
Sure.
They also used to call themselves the Slav Sisters. I had all their books. I made their file, and I worked it a long time ago, and it worked.
Yes.
And I guess that lazy. I went back to work, and I didn't have as much time. But Fly Lady based her program, and she even says that, on Sidetracked Home Executives.
That's
but
right.
she's taking it further and more modern.
Yes.
So it's really a good program.
It is a good program. Very good program.
May I say, this is kind of run over for me and I have to leave, but I do want to say, you mentioned the paper tiger, and I think you can recall how many years I used the paper tiger and thought was the best thing I have ever used. Yeah. But then it didn't work on an Apple. Does it work on an Apple now?
Yes, because now they have an online version. And
oh, okay.
The online version is in a cloud or something like that, and they charge you by the month. So it's like $7 a month or $4 a month. You know, everybody's trying to go to these pay by the month systems. So you can't just buy it anymore, I don't think. But you can go online to thepapertiger.com.
You guys, that's one of the best organizing things. You could name a paper whatever you called it. And if you had a file that said this is stuff number 1, and you could give it 5 names for stuff number 1, and you could always find that paper.
Yeah,
It's really amazing.
Marvelous, amazing system. And I'll tell you another system while we're on systems that I use that I highly recommend. If you have papers or you have information and you can't find it, bullet journal. It's called a bullet journal. Go to bulletjournal.com and learn how to use it. And you don't have to buy.
Is that like Paper Tiger?
No, that bullet journal is for ideas and non-paper, but all the stuff we have to remember, like notes, like calendar,
okay.
like, you know, like things you need to remember, or like if you have a conversation with somebody and you take notes and you think, where's that information when you need to talk to them again? I have all my Comcast outages. I get, you know, Comcast is out so much. I get a customer relations number every time I call. So I have them listed. And the bullet journal allows you to create an index for all of that. And you don't have to buy a $30 bullet journal. You can go to the Dollar Tree and buy a $1 notebook. Looks like this. Well, it looks like one of these. This is early bullet journal. This is my bullet journal number 2. Because I said I'm not going to invest $30 in a bullet journal until I know the system works. It works, and I highly, highly recommend it. Time management, organizing your stuff, your notes, your ideas.
Thank you for your time, Marsha. I gotta go.
Thank you too. Thank you for everybody who's here. I am willing to stay on and answer questions if you still have a question. And I'm going to read the questions that were typed in if nobody has a question and answer them.
Thank you, Marsha. This was my first time and I've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm glad you could make it.
Thanks, Mama.
All right. Does anybody else have a question that you want to ask me before I start reading the questions and answering them?
Hi, Marsha. This is Nancy. Are you going to, I don't know financial or what to throw away, how long to keep something in those files. And so, be it medical, be it utilities, sort of speaking, the phone systems. So that perhaps is a class you're going to teach, or is there a way to find it out so we can streamline the pack of papers that get jammed in a file? Because I don't know what to throw away, and I'm afraid to throw it away. And yeah, just need some help there. And
Okay.
secondly, I appreciate what is being said about, I realize that I've been stymied or something, and it happened when I was young, of knowing or desiring, or now I'm in a different place, but it would be good to hear your class you come up with on how to order the week and be prudent and intentional about taking care of things, because 10 minutes it can all be done if it's kept up, but how to do that so it doesn't become a overbearing job in our daily routine.
Thank you for that question, Nancy. That's a wonderful question. Okay, so the answer is you only need to keep the things that you will need in the future. That sounds obvious, but here's what I mean. You may need to keep receipts for things that you buy because you may want to return them. But if it's things that you're never going to return, like grocery store receipts, there's a good likelihood that you don't need them. We save things because we don't know if we should save them or not, and we think we might need them maybe for taxes or something like that. If an item has tax consequences, you need to save it. If it doesn't have tax consequences, you don't need to save it. So it really depends on your circumstances and what you need things for. But When you save them, they should be saved by the year, not by the title. So, for example, you don't want to save your light bill receipts under the name of your light company. You want to save them under the year that you paid it. So every year, what I tell people is to get an accordion folder. You can start this, and every single time you pay anything, you put it in the month in the current year in the accordion folder. At the end of the year, when you're doing your taxes, all of your receipts will be together by when you paid them. But let's say you bought something in February and you stuck all the receipts for February in the February folder and you happen to need the receipt. Well, then you just pull out however many receipts from February and you can go through them instead of going through the name of the store and trying to look through receipts for 12 years. So then after you file your taxes, you can take that accordion folder and you put it in the box with all your other papers that pertain to taxes for the year, and then you store that box by the year. I found out from a very long, ugly, nasty audit that the IRS only keeps forms for 10 years. So I keep 10 years worth of papers forever. So, and every year when I put the new box of papers up, I pull the old box down. So I have room for 10 boxes in my closet where I keep all my taxes. But you don't really have to keep 10 years. I just went through a really nasty audit, so I just keep it. But however many years your accountant tells you you need to keep things for, but you want to file them by the year, by the day, by the month, by the year, so that at the end of the year, you never need them beyond the year. And for filing, you always want to file things the way you need to find them. And you will always need to find financial files by a year. You rarely need to find them by anything else. If you're still using checks, then the check number will coordinate with the day and the month. So you'll know the date on the check will coordinate with the month, so you know when you paid it. If you're paying online, I have an entire method that I teach in my programs about how to do your online payments. But you're right, maybe that is a class that I should do and just do a separate class of that. Thank you for that idea. I appreciate it.
Marsha, I have a concern when I heard of people using people's receipts wrongly for their benefit. So when I use groceries, like you said, if I do it cash, then and if I am not going to return the item, then I can toss that. Yay. But if I use a credit card or a debit card for a grocery, then I need to be able to be sure that that's accounted for on the statement that comes out monthly.
Right.
And I'm thinking that needs to be in a place instead of just a stack of all the receipts where it is now. It needs to be then by the month, right?
Yes.
And it needs to be in an envelope, so to speaking, or in a clip, so that I haven't done it, but I'm thinking it would be a prudent thing to do. So when the statement comes in, I can pull out that envelope and check off that it matches on the invoice or whatever they call it, the statement, or that the credit card or debit card has sent or bank sent for that. Then at that point, if I don't need it for taxes, as you said, then I can toss it away. Is that correct? I have such an aversion over tossing things out, afraid that I'm going to toss it out and need it. So is that a good analyzation of the finishing of being able to get rid of
Yes.
those receipts?
So you do not have to throw it away. You can just keep it. If it's easier for you to keep it in an envelope till you go through it, keep it in an envelope and label the envelope receipts, and then put the entire envelope in the folder in the section for that month, along with the credit card statements for that month, along with your bank statements for that month, along with any other random bill that you pay during that month, and put them in the folder for that month within that year. So the technicalities of if you put it in an envelope, or if you clip it to the front of the folder, or if you put it in one of these little plastic trays like this, or something like that, is a technicality that doesn't matter how you do it. It just matters that you do it. The other thing is, if you actually go through your credit card statements, when the credit card the receipts, when the statement comes, great, I applaud you. Most people never get around to that. If you don't get around to that, then you can still put them in an envelope or clip them to the front or put them in a tray or whatever you want to do. But just make sure that at the end of the month, they live in that month's folder. So then you can always go back and do it later as a project. Of course you won't, but you'll always have the comfort of knowing that if you ever wanted to, you could.
Thank
So,
you.
thanks for asking.
Then can you talk to business cards? How in the world do you organize those on how do you organize them? Because there can be important go back to resources.
Basically, you want to put them in alphabetical order. If you have business cards, then you have a business card box. And if you do, you can put them in alphabetical order. And you have to decide if you want to put them in alphabetical order by the name of the company or by the name of the person. Or you could have a double set of cards. So you have two for each person, one for their company name and one for their thing. There are card readers that you can buy where you scan the cards in and then they go into a database. Ultimately, the cards should be in some sort of a database so you can find them. But if you don't get around to it, just keep them in alphabetical order in something so you can find them. The real answer is you should throw away the ones you don't need and you should put the information in a database so you can find it. But if you don't get around to it, keep them in alphabetical order until you do.
So I've seen where somebody had a long box and it labeled with little file things, A, B, C, and they had them all lined up. There's the plastic windows where you can slip them in and then you have to go get more of those plastic windows. And I'm beginning to think now with our shutdown and so forth, that's a problem because, gee, you could have 50 more and you don't have enough plastic containers.
Right.
So how?
It doesn't matter. It matters that they go in a findable format. If you prefer a long box, fine. If you prefer an old-fashioned Rolodex, fine. If you prefer to scan them, fine. If you prefer plastic sheets, fine. I had a client one time, she would use old paper that came out of the printer. You know, you print things off instead of throwing it away. And she would use Scotch tape and tape the business cards to the back of the paper and stick them in a 3-ring binder or a series of 3-ring binders. Fine. It doesn't matter the form. It matters that you put them in a findable format. And you can decide which form works for you.
And can you use that bullet journal to be able to, like you said, if you don't want to get two, obviously you don't have it because you walked away with one, so you have a lot of ones. So a bullet journal, however that works, to be able to find the doctor's name as opposed to his specialty, periodontic, and then the doctor's name, and maybe even the name of his clinic. So is the bullet journal something you can use here?
No, you would use, if you want to keep it like that, if you want to do a manual thing, you just use an old-fashioned address book like we used to use before computers.
I agree. But if you have, like you said,
See,
if you
Nancy,
have different,
Nancy, I'm going to stop you because we'll talk about this later because I talk to you every day. But I wanted to make the point for everybody else. But if you want to be that detailed and specific about business cards, we'll talk about it later. Okay, we're going to talk later today anyway.
thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nancy, you know what I would appreciate? Nancy,
Yes, yes.
okay, earlier this morning when we talked, because we talk every day, earlier this morning when we talked, you were telling me why you appreciated working with me in my class. And you said things, and I said, I wish I could say this to everybody. Would you share some of that about the experience that you have had working with me in person?
Marsha, you are very safe to talk to. You do not demean or put down or give a click of which we as women can pick up real quick because we just read it because it makes it safe for us, particularly because we are very sensitive, but particularly when you've been living with such shame, such condemnation on ourselves. So that is what I see in you. Number two is I see that I'm learning the just tiny little increments of getting freed up to where I can see. And this morning I said, oh my gosh, I don't need crystal. It's not who I am. That people are more important than me trying to find space for these crystal pieces and silver. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can let that go. And so you affirmed that's your journey of freeing yourself up to be who you are. And it makes me cry. I come off quite sometimes just moist eyed with the fact that in this chaos of confusion, you are like my lifeline of you're my support. You are when I'm working alone, I can just feel, okay, Marsha's with me. She's right there to support me. And I've said one time, you're like the wind on my wings. You're helping me to stay up other than go into a depression, other than run to food to try to get that up. And then your little clicks like fast, file, active, shred, and toss. Holy mackerel, that's just really good because it's helped me to have a home for what I bring up in front of my eyes. And I cannot believe the gross stuff that I've kept, but you just constantly affirm, you're doing good. And those words are very comforting because we can't talk to our friends and even organizers that I've hired, not the caliber you are. Thank you, Marsha Sims, for you taking the lead to stay in this field to help us get out of prison, of clutter, chaos, and shame.
Wow. Thank you, Nancy.
You're
Wow.
welcome.
That was very well said. Very well said. I totally agree with her.
Thank
I
you.
Yeah.
totally agree too. Totally.
Oh. Mhm.
Very well said.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Thank you, you all. I just embrace you and your journey too. I just feel like, we 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 got our arms kind of locked across our shoulders and we're marching forward and with our leader behind. And I had said that about Marsha. I woke up with a dream. We're like in a canoe or one of those things, and she was behind me and I was doing the rowing, and it's like she's saying, you can do it, keep going, you can do it, because it is my choices, my energy, put my foot and hand and mind to it. And yet she is there encouraging. It's a gift. and it's a blessing beyond measure.
Wow, thank you. Wow, I don't know what to say about all that, but I appreciate that, Nancy, a lot.
You're welcome. It's true. It's true for me.
So now I want to read these questions because I want to get them on the recording. And so I'll start, let's see. Latricia said, this platform is not liking my camera, so that's not a question. Huh. Abuki said, thank you. This is so timely. I want to start immediately after the presentation. Linda said, I think it's better to have the microphones off. Okay. See, I can't see these things when I'm at that age. I can't see everything, so I have to go close. Cat Gill, I have a shredding trick. I just tear off the name, address, etc., and put into an envelope. I can later wet and toss in regular trash or burn if going to a bonfire. I never burn plastic. That's a great idea. Sandra said, how do you get started when you mentally want to do it, but physically you do not know how to get started? And I answered that for her in the recording previously. Anna said, yes, that's what helps me, a reminder space. My issue is motivation and where to start. I sometimes try using a timer. Paperwork and books are the thing for me, and I'm in the middle of gathering a lot of ideas together for articles, etc. Okay, Linda said, thanks for holding this webinar. I have another one to attend for work, so have to leave early. Anna says, we have the time to declutter now, and yet at moments it feels strange to declutter as can't get it off the premises. The charity shops here in the UK are closed. We'll have to get used to putting it in the garden shed until these uncertain times pass. We'll have to leave the webinar now, so hope there's a replay. Thank you. Lori says, thank you so very much for this, Marsha. All you ladies have been so helpful, and it is so encouraging that we all have similar concerns. What a terrific group. Hope to do this again. I'm looking forward to the recording. Have to go to a work meeting. Okay.
Can I say something? This is Nancy in Arizona.
Yes.
And I had the first question about the garbage.
Yes.
And I want to say that while I was listening to this class, I was looking around in my bedroom and pulling all these things and putting them on one thing because I want to box them and put them away somewhere. So I had gotten the flipper and started doing that. And I did it years ago with Sandra Sultan did a class. Our whole church did a class on her. But thank you. I needed this class today. It's very inspiring. And you're very warm and welcoming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you helped me get my flipper because it wasn't coming. So I thank you so much. I emailed you back months ago, and you made sure it came through. So I thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome for that. Yeah. Yeah, out of 200 flippers, we had 2 get lost in the mail. So I think we're okay.
Mine was 1. So that's you're doing good.
Okay, does anybody else have a question for me before we adjourn? Yes.
I don't have a question. It's just that some of the things I heard today, like how long to keep paperwork and a housekeeping schedule, you can get a lot of that stuff online. There are a lot of women who put that stuff out, and accountants and stuff. And usually for taxes, you only have to keep it 7 years.
Yes, and another good site is Pinterest.
Yes.
Those of you who have not used Pinterest yet, there's a lot of really good stuff on there. The problem with Pinterest is you can get sucked in like Facebook. You go to Pinterest to find out one thing and you can be there. You look up and it's 3 hours later because everything.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of good stuff on it. Thank you for that. Anybody else before we adjourn? Well, I just want to say thank you. Let me see, did I have anything else that I wanted to say? Oh, I am going to be doing the fast filing class. It's coming up because I'm restructuring it because I want to make it available the same way the SOS program is so that people can get it on a monthly basis. The problem is it is set up now where it's an every other week basis for 12 weeks. So I'm going to do it, but I need to make it 12. So I'm going to stretch it out a little bit and put more content in it. And I have something new that I'm putting in it called fingertip files. So there's just new stuff to add to it. So it's going to last a lot longer, but we're going to do it. I'm going to try something new. And everybody's home, so people have time. There's no such thing as not enough time. Also, I made a note that I want to say that when you have a big, big mess to organize, you want to start by taking things that are made of fabric out of the room. It's because you're not going to make things made of fabric, clothes, shoes, book bags, sheets, towels, pillowcases. You're not going to organize them with stuff. So all the things made out of fabric come out of the room first. Now you're just dealing with paper and stuff. Paper gets boxed up, magazines and books. So you want to box up papers, you want to box up magazines, you want to box up books. Those are things made of papers. They go to the side. You can put them against the wall to go through later. And then we start with stuff. The reason we start with stuff is because, first of all, it's easier and it's bigger. So if you move one teddy bear, that's like moving 5 notebooks. So you can get more done faster and you can feel your progress faster. And stuff generally has a destination. You're either going to keep it or you're going to throw it away. And if you're going to keep it, it has to go somewhere. So you get started learning how to make decisions. And then we go from all the stuff put away to now we have more space. Then we go to the clothes. Dirty clothes go down, clean clothes go up. Here is what I mean. If you have a gigantic pile of clothes, just put the dirty clothes on the floor. Pick up the things that are not dirty, put them on the bed. Then you want to hang up or put in drawers the things that are clean, and you want to take the dirty clothes to be laundered. And then you're going to fold up or hang up the clean things. Now your clothes are handled. And now we just have to deal with papers, and that's when we go with the FAST, the FAST system, that we will be doing as a class eventually. So I want to make sure I said that out loud. If you're not on my free daily 5-minute organizing challenge, go ahead and sign up for it. There's no obligation, it's free, and it's just something to help you break the ice to do something every day. And then there is the Organizing Mastery Program that's $37 a month. And then there is that's the SOS program is $37 a month. And then there's the Organizing Mastery Program, which works out to be about a little less than $33 an hour. And that program is available too. And with Organizing Mastery, you have full access to me. You can come to all the classes if you want. So instead of doing 1 class a week, if you do 2 classes a week, now you're looking at $15 an hour. So it's not really expensive, depending on how you look at it. So if you're interested and you just want to talk to me about it, you all have my phone number. It's on the bottom of everything you get. And I really appreciate you all coming out. I really, really do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And reach out to me. I'm here. We're all stranded or quarantined or whatever you call it. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you. It was wonderful. It was really good.
Thank you, Marsha.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marsha.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so much,
you.
Marsha.
Thank you as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marsha.
Bye.
And thanks to everybody else who had such good ideas. Appreciate those too.
Thank you.
Kathy, I had to get off for a little bit. Bye. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Now go declutter.
Yeah, right. Bye-bye.